Today we have Dakota of Jardiniere, and she is going to be talking all about her floral design business. And if you're lucky, we might get a little bit of the tea as well. So, Dakota, thank you so much for being a part of this and joining us on Architects of the Aisle. I can't wait to dive in. We've been talking a little bit earlier, but let's just dive right in, okay? So what is your most controversial opinion? We're going to just go for it.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Controversial opinion about wedding florals right now.
Well, first, Meredith, thank you so much for having me. It is such an honor to be here. I'm so excited to get down and chat and have some fun today. Controversial wedding opinions for florals. I think this one's tough, but I'm going to be honest.
Be honest.
The square hanging dance floor installation. I've seen it. I've seen it so many times. I'm not here for it.
Yeah.
Especially if you're in a clear top tent. If you're in a clear top tent, you need to be thinking about light and drone photography.
Yes.
And all of the drone and I didn't even say that because you're a photographer.
Yeah.
I just realized that lined up perfectly with your agenda.
Pretty pictures of your work is my agenda.
Oh, thank you. And my agenda is to make your job easier.
Right.
And to help exemplify your artistry. And if you're spending, a wonderful amount of money on a beautiful photographer and videographer, artist like this, and you've got a clear top tent, all of your night shots, you're going to have a dark square over your dance floor. And that drives me crazy. I love a hanging piece. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
If you're in a clear top, you really need to be thinking about the optics from above. Really, any tent, you should be thinking about the optics from above, but especially garden style and clear.
Yeah, especially with the beautiful new garden style that we're seeing everywhere.
Oh, I know.
I'm obsessed with it.
Yes,
I think it's definitely my favorite.
Me too. I got married in one.
Of course.
100%. Almost every decision came down to what's that shot down the center of the tent going to look like and what's that shot from above.
Yeah. I love that. I love how you just you went for it.
I went for it. I could have said boutonnieres and just copped out.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a whole nother conversation. So that kind of leads into what's something couples think they need florally but actually don't.
Boutonnieres.
Yeah.
I think it's sort of fallen a little bit out of fashion, and all those flowers for your parents. Mm-hmm. I always tell our couples, typically you get roped in because if your father walks you down the aisle, he is a boutonniere. Whatever you do for one side of the family, you do for the other.
Right.
Now you got two dads. You got to have something for mom. Might as well throw grandparents and aunts and godparents in there at this point. And now all of a sudden you've got hundreds and hundreds of dollars in personal flowers that aren't heavily photographed, will wilt by the end of the night, no matter how good of a florist you are. No shade. And just are a throwaway. So unless it's something that's important to your family, unless it's really going to make your grandmother's day to present her with a corsage, just skip it.
Yeah, I would agree. But from a photography perspective, the minute those boutonnieres go on and the guys take the jacket off and then they sling it over the shoulder because we're in the South and it's hot.
It's hot. I get that.
And then your work is crushed.
Oh, I know.
Beyond any recognizable. The flowers fall off. It's awful. No matter what you do.
And we wire them really well. And I label them like groom, groomsman, father. And there have been plenty of instances where the groom has destroyed his boutonniere and swapped it with someone else's.
Yeah.
I will never forget watching him walk down the aisle with the ring bearer's boutonniere. And it's obviously designed for a child. So, and there's a magnet on it. And I'm like, oh my God, please don't let anyone think that this was my aesthetic choice.
Yeah. So if you could wave a magic wand and get couples to understand that, where would you prefer that they invest all of that energy, that time, the finances, rather than boutonnieres and all of the family florals? Where would you rather see that go throughout the wedding day?
I want to see it go wherever is most important to them.
Okay.
Which varies greatly, to be honest with you. I always ask them, what's most important to you? What's something that you're finding, on Instagram and Pinterest that you're saving the most of?
Yeah.
When they present me a board, very rarely do I get, unless of course there's a wedding planner involved, very rarely do I get pictures of bouquets, ceremony, and centerpieces. They usually send me 20 bouquet pictures and then maybe a tabletop. So it's interesting because it tells me what their priority is before I've even talked to them. But I do always have them tell me what when you're thinking of your wedding and you're thinking of the memories and you're thinking of what pictures you're going to print and hang in your dining room, what are you envisioning?
Yeah.
And a lot of people, truly, I don't think there's a pattern. Some people say, oh, ceremony, because that's the moment we say I do. And then some people say, no, that's 30 minutes. Tabletop is what's important to me because, I really want my family to be talking about the flowers for a while to come. And that's what they see.
Yeah.
Some people, it is the dance floor. They've got a really fabulous band. They got lots of lights. And I get that too. And I don't know if I'm of the belief that everything needs to be perfectly proportional. Like if you want to have a fabulous ceremony and a more candle-based centerpiece, I'm down.
Yeah.
It's your day. It's your budget. Let's put it where the value is really going to come from your enjoyment, because that's really what it's about at the end of the day.
Yeah. And we're going to dive more into that as far as Dakota just recently got married. And so stick around for episode 2, and we're going to talk about how that has kind of maybe changed her viewpoint a little bit of being in the wedding industry, but now married and having gone through that herself, because that'll change your mind real quick.
Yes, it will.
Yes. So we'll dive into that in a little bit, but let's talk about design perspective. So what do you feel like separates beautiful florals from an impactful design? That wow factor. We talked about not doing certain things in the tent, but what makes the wow factor?
Personality.
Okay.
Personality.
How do we do that in floral? I'm not a floral designer. How do I do that?
Tell me about yourself. I'm going to ask you questions. I want to follow you on Instagram. Tell me about your love story. Tell me about your life, where you're from, what inspires you. I want to see what you like to wear. I want to see pictures of your house. I care about all of that, like a lot. And I don't want anyone to think, when I'm asking these questions, like it's too much, or if I'm asking about your stationery or your linens or your chair rental or tabletop, like I don't necessarily see that it doesn't feel like it's not in my purview. Anything can be inspirational to me. We've done, of course, we've done so many little things, where, your dress has a certain flower or a certain embroidery on it. How can we bring that out in the decor? My dress had a lot of hand-sewn carnations on it, so we made sure that carnations were really present in the rest of the wedding as a nod. If your mother got married and had a certain flower, or if your grandparents grew up and had a garden and you grew up there remembering seeing them pick flowers. We had a bride a little while ago whose grandfather would bring her grandmother a certain flower every Friday. Well, that needs to be in the wedding.
Yeah.
And if you're a colorful, funky person, your flowers should be colorful and funky. You want your guests to walk in and say, oh yeah, this is her wedding.
Yeah.
Not just another wedding.
Yeah.
And if you're timeless and you're classic and you're elegant, and that's your look, people will see you in the design. If that's it, don't feel like you have to be, I don't want anyone to feel like they have to be pushed out so far out of their comfort zone that they lose themselves. I actually think that I do a lot of convincing that it is better to be yourself than anything else.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Timeless is relative and kind of an illusion.
Yeah. As it's always progressing.
Yes, exactly. Good design is good design. Impact comes from the opportunity to show all of your guests who you are as a couple, and they'll walk in and say, wow, this really looks like them. That's what they're going to remember.
Yeah. I love that. How do you approach florals differently when the goal is experience, which is a big buzzword right now in the industry? It has been for, I'd say, the last 6 years. I don't see it going anywhere at all, at least not right now. But when the goal is experience, not just decor, how do you approach that from florals?
I think experience can mean two different things. Of course, there's your experience as the couple or family planning. And then there's the experience of the guests. And I'd rather talk a little bit more about the experience of you as a bride or groom or couple.
Yeah.
Because I think there's this, I wouldn't say misconception, but there's this, sort of, it's in the lexicon that your wedding is just one day. And that, I think, is the biggest myth of all time, because especially having gone through this myself recently, your wedding is literally every day from the minute you're engaged to the minute you go down the aisle.
Mm-hmm.
It is something that everybody is going to be talking about with you. It's going to occupy a tremendous amount of your brain space. And I think the experience of wedding day is just one part of a much bigger picture of your wedding experience. When I think about my wedding, most of my memories, this is going to sound so bad, I'm sorry. Most of the memories are not actually of that day. I mean, like, obviously I remember the ceremony, and I remember, like being on the dance floor, but my favorite memories are behind the scenes, like, going dress shopping with my mom in New York City, and Devin surprising me, with different add-ons to the wedding that I wasn't expecting, coming home one day and, having him walk in and say, well, we're having glass walls now. Like, oh, are we? Like, like little things, that just moments between us and moments between, me and the other vendors, it was so much fun to work with my photographer, Lisa, with Abijou, to get to send each other on Instagram, like things back and forth. Like, what if we do this? What if we do that? Like, all of that is such an enjoyable and memorable experience for me. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that being a vendor might influence this slightly, but I do think the idea that the environment that you cultivate leading up to your wedding is just as important as the experience that day itself.
Yeah.
So find vendors that you enjoy talking to.
Yes.
Vendors that when you see the email come through your inbox, you're excited. What are they going to tell me today? What have they come up with? People who you feel like are in your corner, who have your back, who, are listening to you and who want to get to know you and be a part of the entire day and the experience. That's, I think, the most important experiential part of the day is the entire year.
Yeah. I love that you focused on that, because as vendors and even in talking with couples, they're so focused on the word experience and the experience from the guest's purview that they often forget about everything that leads up to that informs the day, whether it's stressful, chaotic, peaceful, energizing.
Absolutely.
So I love that you have that different perspective versus kind of what I think we hear over and over again in the industry so often.
Yes. And I try to really instill that experience in our couples. It's so funny. I always laugh a little bit when we get emails and it's like, hi, I'm Annie. I'm getting married in June. I'm like, yes, Annie, I know who you are. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I know you.
I know you guys. Like, you don't ever have to email me. Like, I want to build a rapport with these women and gentlemen and mothers. Like, that gives my life meaning.
Yes.
And that brings your experience. It elevates your experience. So I don't, they're never bothering me. There are some people I talk to every couple weeks. There are some people I talk to once. And my goal is to make your experience with me from beginning to end, just extremely positive and supportive and fun. Yeah. Not every part of planning a wedding is fun.
No.
Not to like call out other industries, but like transportation, but like flowers, fun.
Yeah.
So let's have fun.
Yeah. I will say I have helped friends in the floral industry before. I don't know how you say that's fun, but that's my personal perspective. I also say the same for having helped friends that are planners, but we all have our passion, and that's why we're in the industry that we're in. And all in all, it is joyful and it can be fun, but sometimes it's not.
Very true.
Sometimes
Very
it's
true.
not.
Just like every job.
Yeah. So let's kind of take a shift from the actual day itself, and let's talk about, where do you draw inspiration? Because we can go to Pinterest all the time and we can see what other people have done, but where do you pull inspiration from for yourself and for your clients?
I try really hard to stay away from Pinterest and Instagram as much as I can. It's very easy to get sucked into, what everybody else is doing and wanting to do that, to sort of maintain a level of coolness. But I find that my favorite ideas and my best ideas come from travel. A lot of travel I find it really inspiring and refreshing. Fashion, especially. I have a fashion background. So whatever goes down the runway, I'm immediately trying to think, well, how could I make this into a floral arrangement, or what is this saying to me from a floral perspective? I love interiors and I love really just art. I'm such a big fan of art. I'm one of those people that can sit in front of a painting for hours. So looking to different areas of creativity and other people's areas of creativity to see how they're inspired inspires me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. So we're going to wind this down with some hot takes for part 1 of our interview with Dakota. Are you ready?
Ready.
Okay. Overrated or underrated floral arches?
Appropriately rated. Not for every venue, not for every setting, not for every couple.
Okay.
But done well, gorgeous.
Okay. Overrated or underrated? All white weddings?
Overrated.
Overrated.
Unless it's your personality. Which if you're an all white personality, that's great.
Yeah.
But I don't think most people are.
No. Okay. I have a feeling I know what you're going to say on this one, but maybe I'm wrong. Overrated or underrated outfit changes?
Oh my God. Underrated.
Yes.
I couldn't eat in my wedding dress. Like they had to cut the corset so that I could eat.
No.
I can't even, it was fabulous, but change your outfit, be fabulous, then be comfortable.
Ooh, we're going to talk about that in our next, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that. Tune in for another episode in a minute. Okay. One trend you will never do. You refuse. Is there one?
Yes.
Okay.
That was so aggressive.
That was aggressive, but I love it. Okay.
At this point, I'm just trying to pick.
Ooh, okay.
I think probably what bothers me the most, and I'm very honest, and I will tell my couples, is when anyone says they want a pop of color. You don't want a pop of color. You want a range of colors. If you have an all white or neutral palette with a pop of color, what you really have is polka dots.
Okay.
You really don't, there are many ways to say, like, you want to introduce a color. You need to have that range. If your pop is hot pink, you need light pink, you need peach, you need something to soften it and to make that connection between white and hot pink.
Love that. Polka dots.
I know. And you're going to see it in the pictures now too.
Yeah.
It's the white linen with the colored napkin. And you're going to say,
there's that polka dot.
I ruined it for you. I'm sorry, but also you're welcome.
Last one. One design choice you will defend to the death. I know there's a lot, I'm sure.
Yeah. Cause I'm the kind of person that's willing to die on like every hill. Oh, this one, I don't care what your aesthetic is. You have to be practical.
Okay.
Practical. Whatever we decide for your ceremony, if you're getting married outdoors, how's that going to look when you move it into a ballroom? We need to be thinking about things that are transitional. The reality of the situation is that there are no do-overs on wedding day. Flowers are a natural product that are, sort of always going to do whatever they want to do at some point. We can only manipulate them so much. So making sure that, we're allocating budget and we're making choices that still very much so fit the practicality of the day. And I would love, of course, I'd love to be on a ladder and create some crazy installation. And that's fantastic, but it's just not realistic for everybody or every opportunity.
Right.
And at the end of the day, I'm really not pushing my own agenda. I'm really pushing how you're going to maximize the value that you put into it and how we can speak to the space and what just makes most sense. I'm a practical designer. I'm creative, but also more practical.
Yeah. Love that. Well, Dakota, thank you for joining us for this part 1 of an interview with you. This has been fun so far. I can't wait for the second one or the third one. There's 3, I promise. We have lots to talk about. We couldn't do this in just one take. So thank you so much for joining us. And I look forward to chatting with you about your wedding in just a minute.
Okay, great.